welcome to the Cloud Factory. My name is Sandy, yo soy your sewing guru, and today I'm going to show you how to make basic patterns for skirts. I know these pattern making videos are getting bored for you maybe, but remember, it's a needed knowledge to know how to make any other garment you want. To make these patterns, you are going to need 3 measurements only. The first one is your waist contour. It's usually on the level of the belly button, but you know better where is your waist, or ask your client in case you are making patterns for someone else. The second measurement is the hips contour, which is the widest part of your hips. And the third measurement is the distance between the waist and the hips. So vertically on the side of your body, measure from the level of the waist to the level of the widest part of your hips. Before start making our patterns, I'm going to explain you something about the darts, because later I'm going to teach you how to modify the darts to adapt the patterns to any type of body. It's easy to think, because basically it's like that the skirt pattern is a rectangle, but if we trace it with a rectangle we are going to end up with something like this. So we need the darts to adjust that rectangle to our figure. From this point of view, if we remove these parts of the rectangle, it adapts to the figure of the body. So these parts is exactly what I meant with the darts. Usually, a standard body, it has more curves in the back for the skirt than in the front. So usually we use 3 centimeters for the dart in the back pattern and 2 centimeters for the dart in the front pattern. We are going to trace our patterns like that, and later in the video I'm going to explain you how to trace the darts for different types of bodies. Now let's start making our patterns. For the back pattern, I'm going to trace a 90 degrees angle in the left side of my paper. Now here in the top line, in the horizontal, I'm going to mark 1/4 part of my hips contour, and I'm going to add 1 centimeter. That centimeter is for ease, so the garment will adjust better to our body and it will not be tight. If you remember, in our basic patterns, we add 4 centimeters in total for ease. When we make our top patterns, we add 3 centimeters for ease in the front and 1 centimeter for ease in the back, because we have more volume in the body in the front part from the waist up, but from the waist down usually is the same amount of volume we have in the front and in the back. So we are going to add 2 centimeters of ease for our back pattern and 2 centimeters for ease for our front pattern. But since we are tracing half patterns, that's why I am adding 1 centimeter, which is the half of those 2 centimeters I want for the back and 2 centimeters I want for the front. So mark here 1/4 part of hips contour plus 1 centimeter. And from that point, square a vertical line like this. Now here from the top horizontal downwards on the verticals, I'm going to mark the distance between the waist and the hips levels, and trace a line using those points, like this. Now from the top horizontal line downwards on the verticals, I'm going to mark the length of my pattern. It can be any. I am marking 40 centimeters. It can be any because these patterns are basic patterns, so later you can adjust the length of the skirt. So you can measure from your waist to your knees, for example, and make your patterns to your knees, or half of your tights, whatever you want. But of course, not less than half of your tights. Trace the baseline, join those 2 points. And now here in the top, I'm going to mark 1/4 part of my waist, adding 4 centimeters. 1 is for ease, and 3 is for the dart of the back. Remember, the back dart of the skirt is 3 centimeters for standard bodies. So mark that point there and join with this point with a straight line, like this. Now here I'm going to mark 1 centimeter from the top line, and there I'm going to square an horizontal line like this This line is about 5 or 6 centimeters. From that point, I'm going to trace a curve joined with the waist point I marked before in this way. The curve doesn't need to be so deep. Just check the shape I am getting here. It must be something like that. Now measure this distance from the central line of the pattern to the waist point and mark the half point of it here. And there we are going to square a vertical line in this way. From this distance, I'm going to mark half here, and in that level, I'm going to mark the end point of my dart. Now here, 1.5 centimeters to each side because our dart is 3 centimeters in total, and trace the side lines of your dart in this way. Now here in the bottom part, I'm going to mark half centimeter in this corner and the middle point of the baseline, and trace a slightly curve here, like this, for the base of the skirt pattern. Here in the top part of the side line, approximately in the middle of this space, this line, this segment, I'm going to mark out 5 millimeters, half centimeter, and make a curve like this. And there you have, your back pattern is ready. Now for the front pattern is basically the same but in the other side. Trace your 90 degrees angle. Then here in the top part, 1/4 part of hips contour plus 1 centimeter. Square the vertical line, and here in both the distance between waist and hips, exactly the same we did in the back pattern. Trace your line, and here 1/4 part of waist contour, but this time add 3 centimeters only, and join these 2 points. It was only 3 centimeters in the waist because remember the waist dart is 2 centimeters for standard bodies. Now trace the length of your pattern, mark the length of your pattern, and trace the baseline. Here 1 centimeter downwards, and square a small line, 5 or 6 centimeters length, and trace the curve to the waist point. Mark the half point of this segment, square a vertical line for your dart. Here mark the half point of this segment. You measure it, don't be like me, lazy. So here mark the half point, as it has to be, and mark the base of your dart, and 1 centimeter to each side of this line because this time our dart is 2 centimeters for the front in standard bodies. Trace the side lines of your dart. Then here in the bottom corner, half centimeter upwards, and then trace this curve like this to the middle point of the baseline. Now here divide, also mark the middle point, 5 millimeters out, and trace this curve. And your front pattern is ready. Now let's see how to cut them. Cut following the lines I am showing you here, the contour of your pattern, but in the top part where our dart is, leave extra paper. The same for both patterns, like this. Now fold your dart, close it, and now we are going to smooth this line, this small corner we have here, with my curve. Just smooth, making a slight curve like this. Keep it folded, the dart, and cut in this way. Like this, you will not have any problem when cutting the pieces in the fabric. Do exactly the same with the other pattern and cut the same any pattern that has darts actually. There you have your both patterns for basic skirt. Now you can convert them into any skirt you want, almost any skirt you want, which I'm going to teach you in future classes. Now let's see how to adapt our patterns for different types of bodies. The first case, it can be when we have those sweet rolls in our tummy, when we have big tummy from the waist down. In that case, we have to make our front dart wider. If you remember, the front dart is 2 centimeters. Well, in this case, make it 3 centimeters. That means you have to mark 1.5 centimeters to each side of the center line of your dart. In this way, because the curve in your body is bigger than the standard, you need a bigger dart to adapt the skirt properly to fit your body. For this case, obviously the back pattern, no modifications, just trace it as it is, as I showed you in this video, no changes in the dart or anything else. Another case is when we have a big booty. In that case, what you have to modify obviously is the back pattern. You need to make a bigger dart, but because you need a bigger than 3 centimeters dart, remember the original dart of the back is 3 centimeters, so we need to make it bigger. A dart of 4 or 5 centimeters, it will be so big for only one dart, so we have to divide it in 2 darts. In this case, trace 2 darts of 2 centimeters, so that will give us 4 centimeters of darts in total, or 2 darts of 2.5 centimeters if you have a really big booty. That will give us 5 centimeters of darts in total. Now for the position of the darts, just check that is centered in your pattern. You can also divide the space, the segment from the central line of the pattern and the waist point in 3, and you can make 1 dart in every third part. Or just by eye, just see that your 2 darts are balanced in the space that you have between the central line and the waist point. Now, the next case is the opposite, when you lack of booty volume. In that case, obviously also the changes has to be made in the back pattern. The dart in this pattern is 3 centimeters for a standard, so you make it 2 centimeters wide. That means 1 centimeter to each side of the center line of your dart, and your pattern will fit your body perfectly. The next case is, you know, when you sometimes wear a skirt and it lifts up from the front, like this I am showing you. If you have this problem with your skirts, then in the front pattern, rise 1 centimeter in the center line in the top corner and 1.5 centimeters in the bottom corner in the central line. From those points, just follow the shape of the skirts in the bottom line and in the upper line to finish your pattern as I am showing you here in this diagram, and you will no longer have that problem with your skirts. Now, if your problem is the opposite, when the skirts lift up in the back part, then do the same, but this time in the back pattern. Extend the central line of your pattern. Mark 1 centimeter in the top part and 1.5 centimeters more in the bottom line, and finish the bottom and the top lines of your skirt following the shape of the pattern. And there you have all you need to know to trace your basic patterns depending on your type of body. Make it and form your set of basic patterns together with the top patterns and the sleeve pattern we saw in previous videos. If you didn't see those videos, I'm going to give you the links in the description box below this video. Please check that information, because there you will have the complete knowledge to make your set of patterns and then be able to make any garment you want. And also, of course, I'm going to teach you that in future classes, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Happy stitches for everyone, and I will see you the next time.